talk to him. I'm just here to get. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Y'all, we don't make no money. I would be struggling right now because if you make that plane late, regional is where it's at. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I'm Taryn, also known here on YouTube and across all other platforms as Taryn on the Journey. Welcome. This is a great place for you to start if you've never seen my channel before. I'm sure you have been searching for something flight attendant related. That's why I popped up. Or maybe travel, I'm not sure. But I'm Taryn, I'm your travel bestie, I'm your friend, your favorite flight attendant. So welcome, I'm glad to have you here. Thanks for watching. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about things I should have considered or thought about before becoming a flight attendant that I didn't necessarily think about. And I'm gonna share with you, so maybe these are some things that you could consider or think about that may say, oh yes, I should be a flight attendant, or no, I should not be a flight attendant. So let's get right into it. I don't want this to be a long drawn out video. I made some notes, so if you see me looking down at my phone, that's what I'm looking over. But yeah, let's get into the video. So these next 3 points that I'm about to tell you are some things that you can consider and think about. Now, you can have this conversation simply with yourself. You can talk to a friend about it, or maybe you want to write it down in your notebook so you can come back and look at it and remember why you decided to become a flight attendant or not. So number one I wrote down is, why do I want to be a flight attendant? I think I wanted to be a flight attendant just to give you a little perspective and a little view into my world if you don't already know. I think I wanted to be a flight attendant. I've mentioned this before because I needed change. I wanted to do something different, completely different than I had been doing for the past 3 years, which was working in mental health. And I just thought it would be something good for me to try. I had never done it. I had applied, but I never got the job, but I got it now in this point in life. And I was like, well, why not, girl? Just go give it a try. So that's definitely something you should consider. People become flight attendants for all different types of reasons. They become flight attendants because they want to travel. They become flight attendants because they need change like me. They become flight attendants because they feel like they're young and now it's the perfect time. All different reasons. So you have to really consider why you want to be a flight attendant. And I think it's important because once you get into the job and you start to experience all the hardships are the good things, like, you need to remember, okay, I got into it for this reason, so let me continue to push forward when it's hard and enjoy it, sit back and relax in it when it's going good. So I just think it's important to know. Number two, is this gonna be your main source of income? Is this pay gonna be enough to sustain my lifestyle? That's definitely something that I should have thought about before I became a flight attendant, honestly speaking. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Y'all, we don't make no money. We don't make no money. And this is why it's something that you need to consider. Why you want to be a flight attendant, and is it going to be enough for your lifestyle? I've talked to people that have kids. I've talked to people that they have really expensive apartments. They have car payments. They have all of these things that they're going to have to be able to afford while doing this job. And some people can do it, some people can't. It just depends. If it's not something where you feel like it's sustainable and you need like something else on the side, another source of income, then that's something to think about. Like, I'm gonna have to have a part-time job. And I kind of had already had that in the back of my mind, y'all. I'm the type of person where I always keep 2 jobs no matter what. Even when I was working more of a 9-to-5 job, I had a part-time job. But I'm gonna be honest and go ahead and say this. I feel like with being a flight attendant, you have to have a part-time job. It's not an option. Now, maybe at some airlines, maybe you don't, because you can pick up more, or, you know, there's different things that you can do to make money. But I feel like, this is my opinion as a regional flight attendant. I am a regional flight attendant. So this is from my perspective. I feel like you have to have a part-time job. Do everybody have a part-time job? No. Some people just live below their means and do what they can with this job. But for me, my lifestyle, what I like to have, because I want to travel and all the other things that I want to do in life, I feel like I need to have a part-time job. So that's something to think about. Can I sustain just off this income? Is this going to be my main source of income or not? Number 3, am I prepared to move if I have to? We all know when we become a flight attendant, and if you don't know this, when you become a flight attendant, there's a possibility that you will have to move. Did I have to move? No, but some people do. I'm a regional flight attendant. I am Charlotte, North Carolina based. I don't live in Charlotte, so I have to commute to work. But if I wanted to move, I could have moved. Some people don't have a choice because they are kind of put in a situation where the company chooses their base and they have to go and find a place to live because they don't know anyone there. They may not feel comfortable living in the crash pads. That's something that we'll get into later. It could just be all different types of reasons. Maybe your company doesn't let you switch bases as quickly as mine did. So no, I didn't have to relocate, but some people do, and it could be a struggle. But we'll get into that later, okay? So that's something to consider, whether or not you are willing to move or not. Another thing that you can consider, in the last point before I start getting into like the other things that I want to discuss in this video, is what type of employee am I? Do I need to be micromanaged? Can I work in different type of environments? Do I like working with different types of people? Do I like working with the community? What type of employee are you? And I think we don't think about this when we get into this job, because it just seems fun and we don't really think that deep into it, but you absolutely should. Because I know, and I started this job with people that said it was just too much for them. They don't like dealing with all the people. They don't like the constant change. Some people love 9 to 5 work. They like knowing when they're going to go to work and knowing when they get off work. Some people need to be micromanaged. This is a job where you have to be a very responsible person. If you're not responsible, I don't think this is the job for you. You got to get up at a certain time. You got to know when you got to be to work. You got to do your research about different things on your own. At no point while doing this job have I felt like I've been micromanaged. Nobody really is checking for you for real. You gotta do it on your own. You gotta find information out on your own. You have to ask questions. If you have a problem, you have to email. Nobody is checking for you. And now when you mess up, if you make that plane late, if you're late, they gonna know and they're gonna check for you. But other than that, nobody is really checking for you. And I just want to say again, I do live on a main highway road. So if you guys hear a lot of background noise, I apologize. I hope you don't hear it, but I apologize if you do. So those were definitely 4 things that you should write down in your journal to think about, process, and consider before you even apply. Go do your research. Think about those 4 questions and just have a conversation with yourself and see if this is something that you really want to get into or not. So moving on, I'm gonna talk about some things that I had no clue of, and this will be good information if you don't have a clue as to how this flight attendant stuff works, or the process and none of that. Like, I didn't know these things, so I'm gonna go ahead and share it with you. So the first thing I want to talk about is the 3 different types of flight attendants. So there's mainline, regional, which I am, and then there's corporate flight attendant work. Mainline to me is working for one of the big 3, United, Delta, or American. And regional are your carriers like Envoy, Mesa, PSA Airlines. Those are your regional airlines. Your corporate airlines are like Bank of America, VistaJet, NetJets. Those are your corporate flight attendant or private jet airlines. I had no clue of any of that before I became a flight attendant. I thought when you apply for a company or you apply, I don't know what I thought. I think I just thought when you apply, I would be going all over the world. I didn't know that some didn't go international, some just stayed on one side of the United States, some only go international. Like, there's so many different airlines that have different types of operations, but you would only know if you really dug deep and did your research. So definitely do your research. Know what you're getting into before you apply and before you get into it, because if only going domestic and doing domestic flying really bothered me, I would be struggling right now, because that's all I do. I didn't know being a regional flight attendant I would only be going to White Plains, New York, Huntsville, Alabama, Norfolk, Columbia, South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina. Like, I thought I was going to be going to New York City, Italy, Barcelona. Girl, no, absolutely not. So if mainline is what you want and you don't want to be a regional flight attendant, you want to go all the big places, don't apply to the smaller airlines like PSA, Envoy, Mesa. You need to be going for the big three: Delta, United, American. And not only, even with Delta, United, and American goes some places. Well, let me say this: Delta goes some places that American doesn't go, and vice versa. So really do your research, really look into and see who goes where. Like, you need to know what you want to do. Now, if you don't care about doing international flying, you just want to do your little flights, come back, not be out too long, not have to be working flights too long, then regional is where it's at, you know? And then you have your low-cost carriers like Spirit, Frontier, JetBlue. Those are Southwest. Those are your low-cost carriers. I don't know what it would be called in like the flight attendant world, but I know those are considered low-cost carriers. I would consider JetBlue a mainline, Southwest a mainline. I don't know if other people do. If you think so, if you agree with me, disagree with me, let me know in the comments. Comment below. Is Southwest considered mainline to you? What do you think? I don't remember where my first overnight as a flight attendant was, but I can remember going to New York, and I thought I was going to New York. When they told me White Plains, y'all, I was like, White Plains? I never heard of this. So, I mean, at first it's kind of disappointing, but once I learned myself when it comes to being a flight attendant, and I kind of see that I don't think I want to do the longer flights, White Plains is just fine, honey. So you got to definitely know what works for you. So the interviewing process, I want to talk a little bit about this because, again, I had no clue. I have family members and friends that were flight attendants, so they kind of told me a little bit about it, but I feel like they are always changing stuff because people talk about the process so much and they don't want people to always know what to expect, so they change things so that you can't really come in so prepared. That's my opinion. It's only what I think. But for starters, when you apply, you have to do an assessment. The assessment is kind of like basically figuring out what type of employee you are, what type of personality you have, trying to see if you align with their morals and values, and they're going to ask you those type of questions. If you pass the assessment, they're probably going to invite you to a virtual interview. Sometimes the virtual interview is in a group. I've heard where it's in a group, and sometimes it's one-on-one. Sometimes it is not even with the person. You are talking to and responding to whatever prompts they have. I've done one where I was talking to a person, and I've done one where I just responded to the prompts that they have. So even if, I think they pretty much tell you what it's gonna be, like what your virtual interview setup is gonna be. I think you should prepare like if you were going to a regular interview, a face-to-face. Dress professionally, be prepared to answer the questions, because you don't want to have to keep redoing your questions if it's with the prompts. And you just want to sound good and professional if you're doing it with the actual person. After the virtual interview, they could either call you to do a one-on-one type, offering you to come to the face-to-face type interview or follow-up, or they could just send you an email and asking you if you want to come to the face-to-face. I've experienced both. After the follow-up call or interview, that's when you come to the face-to-face. And the face-to-face could be group environment, group setting, one-on-one. They do it all different types of way. Again, I've experienced both. I think I actually like the group face-to-face because it kind of gives you time to like prepare your questions. You can hear other people's answers and kind of like, I don't know, it just makes me feel comfortable when I'm in a group versus when I'm one-on-one with someone. It's just a little bit more intimidating. But I feel like when you do groups too, you gotta be original. You don't want to give the same answer that someone else gave in their response. Now, I'm gonna tread lightly with this because I know this is a question. Do we get the job the day we do the face-to-face interview? I've heard both. You get a CJO, which is a conditional job offer, the day of, and I've heard that some people got it later on. So I think it just all depends on what the airline wants at that time. If they feel like they need more people to come to the training, they have more spaces available, they'll still invite people even after the interview. So don't get down on yourself if you don't get the CJO right away. Maybe yours is gonna come through email. You just never know. I've heard both things. So now I'm gonna jump back into pay. Most of the time they tell you your pay right away at the interview. At least I think they should. They tell you your pay. I was told my pay. And I was also told about bonuses. When I got hired, they were doing bonuses. So they told me per diem. They told me what I would be getting paid. And now I thought it was enough for me. Honestly, I wasn't sure if it was enough. I don't even think back then if I understood the pay. I'm sure I didn't. I really didn't understand that I wasn't going to be paid hourly, that I was going to be paid flight time. Flight time. As a flight attendant, you're paid flight time. So we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, I didn't understand. I just knew I wanted to change it. Y'all, I just was ready to go. If I would have known then what I know now about the pay, honestly, I wouldn't have taken this job. I don't know. I really don't know. But about the pay, if you don't know, as flight attendants, we aren't paid hourly. So we aren't paid like if we were working a regular 9-to-5 job. We are paid for flight time. I'm gonna speak as a regional flight attendant. I'm paid for flight time. I know other flight attendants are paid for if they're the purser, like if they're lead of the flight, if they are the like language of destination, if they're going to a specific place and they can speak that language. There's a lot of different things you could be paid for, but with my airlines as a regional flight attendant, we are only paid for per diem, flight time hour. I believe that's it. We don't really get any extra incentives on top of our pay. So I feel like we really don't have any other ways to make money. Now, there's another regional airline, I believe they are paid to work lead, but at my airlines, we are not. So that's something to think about. I get paid $28.07. I don't mind sharing because you can Google it and it'll tell you. So as a first year, my airline, we're paid $28.07, I believe. So if I only work 2 hours for the day, that's how much I'm paid per flight hour. So this is your time to decide whether or not this job is for you. I feel like when you get all this information that they give you in the interview process, this is the point. Even before you get to training, you do all that hard work. You need to decide whether or not this is for you. This is your life. This is not, this job is fun, but it is your life. It's a job. It's a career. It's something that you're going to be doing to sustain for a little while. Now, if you're doing this just for the benefits, then hey, come on. If you're doing this because it looks fun, then hey, come on, do it. But if you're getting into this as your main source of income, you need to sit down and have a talk with yourself right now. After the interview, after you've gotten your conditional job offer, after they've told you to pay, you need to say, is this the job for me? I wouldn't go no further than this. If you say yes, then congratulations, you made it. If not, then there's other things you can do. Maybe another airline works for you. Like maybe you want to go work on the ramp. Some of them, they make more money. Like there's different things you can do. and maybe this career is just not for you. Like, I'm telling you, don't waste your time. So many people get into this job and have to figure out when it's too late that it's not for them, and now they've gotten used to it and they don't want to leave. Trust me, I have the thought all the time, y'all. It's a good job, but the pay is. So I'm like, do I want to leave? Do I want to stay? I'm gonna be honest. Like, I think about what else I could do all the time, because you can't make a living off this. Like, you cannot live off this. You can, but you have to live below your means. You have the benefits, and sometimes you can't travel. So it's just a lot to think about. And if it's not for you, if I feel like I'm in a place where it's doable for me, because I don't have a whole lot of responsibilities, but I don't think everybody could handle, like, I have friends and we all talk about the same thing. Like, I love my job, I like what I do, but the money is just terrible. And one day, I really believe and I have faith in God that because I'm a part of the airlines, that one day they gonna get with it and pay us some more, because I'm God's favorite and I know He loves me. He cares and is concerned about how much His child is being paid. I'm a little delusional, y'all, but I got faith, okay? But I just really believe that things are gonna get better for the airlines, because we should be paid what we're worth. Sometimes we work 12, 14-hour days, y'all. Only paid for like 7, 5, 8. Like, it's crazy. It's so mind-blowing. But I don't want to ramble, because I could talk about the pay all day. You hear me? I think eventually I'm gonna bring in some of my other flight attendant friends, and we're gonna have a discussion, sit down about the pay, so you can see that it's not just me. Like, we all out here, and honestly, sometimes we be struggling, but we make the best of it. And if you decide to get in this, you gonna have to make the best of it too. That's just all to it. So next, we're gonna talk about how long is training. How long is training? Depending on which route you go, mainline, regional, it could be 4 to 6 weeks. As a regional flight attendant with my airline, it was 4 weeks. It was 4 weeks paid. So I was so grateful that I went to a paid airline. It really, to me, it makes a difference. I don't think you should. I don't think I would. Let me say that. I don't think I would go to an airline that didn't pay me. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to do it. I think that training should be paid. I'm training for a job and I should be paid for it. I should be paid for my time. Any other job pays for training. I think the airline should too. So for training, sometimes the flight is provided. My airline, regional airline, they provided a flight, but again, I don't live too far from Charlotte where I trained at, so I drove. Some people did fly in and they were given a flight into the base, into Charlotte, and they were given a flight home. So, but I've heard some airlines don't provide flights. I'm not doing it. Maybe somebody would. I'm just not doing it. I think they should provide that. I think that, you know, that goes along with the pay. It should be provided for you. What I do know is that some airlines, when they don't pay you, they will give you a stipend for food, a voucher to provide you with food, or maybe they have a place, cafeteria type set up where they provide you food for free. You don't have to worry about that. But again, I'm an adult. I have responsibilities. Just because I'm going to be a flight attendant or going to training, I'm not gonna stop and leave my apartment and not pay my insurance and other bills right away. No, I still have bills to pay, so I need some type of income. And so for me, I wasn't given free food. We had to buy our food during the day while we were at training, and you know, in the evening time, they did not give us any type of meal. We always had to provide our own food, but again, we were paid, so it kind of worked out. So I guess if you decide to go for an unpaid training, then you don't have to worry about food. I'm just not gonna do it. Another thing I want to discuss about during training, so you know, you have tests, you take tests. That's what the training consists of. The test can be difficult. I feel like it was difficult for me because I had no aviation knowledge or experience. I knew nothing about planes. I knew nothing about anything. So I feel like going into it, it was just really hard for me, and I really did not know what I was doing. But I'm going to tell you so that you can do it, because nobody really told me. But if you're thinking about going with a specific airline, figure out what aircraft they're flying. Figure out how many passengers they can hold. You can look up and Google those certain things, even if you don't know everything, but you can look up those things to try to give yourself a little heads up before going to training. I wish I would have did it. You can do it. Make connections with people. See what you can learn before you go, because in training, I feel like you're cramming. You're trying to figure out everything. And if you have no knowledge, it's like going to college for the first day. I didn't know anything about psychology. I started from scratch, but with college, you have 4 years. Training, you only had 4 weeks. So it was like trying to cram all this little bit of information into my brain, and I had no knowledge of it. So do your research, try to make connections before you go to training, so maybe you can gather some information and it'll help you out when you go through training. Okay, so let's talk about during training. Now, these are a few tips that I'm going to give you because I think they're helpful. Did I know this either? No, I absolutely did not, but this will help you. So during training, don't go in with the attitude like, I don't know these people, I'm going to be standoffish, I don't want to talk to them, I'm just here to get my wings and that's it. No, that's not the attitude to take. When you go into training, be friendly, be kind, be nice. Build and create these relationships and these friendships. When I tell you you're going to need these people again, you're going to need these people again. Are you going to get along and click with everybody? No, you're not. Maybe not. Maybe you will. But you're going to need these relationships. You're going to need these people. Because when you get out on the line and you're having these experiences, your mom, your dad, your friends, your sisters, they're not going to understand. They're not going to be able to help you. They're not going to be able to look out for you because they don't know. They're not having the same experience. They don't know anything about being a flight attendant. Those relationships that you create during training are going to be important. Even the staff, your instructors, create those relationships. Those people are going to be the people. I've had my friends that are flight attendants tell me that some of the people that they were in class with ended up being their managers later on. If you created a bad relationship in class with that person, they end up being your manager, that's going to be a bad situation. So create relationships, y'all. You just never know who you're going to need later on down the line. I have stories for days, but I still keep in touch with people that were in my class, and they're my friends now. And I'm so grateful for those relationships because I can't talk to my best friend about being a flight attendant. She doesn't know. I hate talking to, you'll understand later on, but I hate talking to my mom, my friends about it because they don't understand and don't relate. So you need those relationships. During training, drama happens. I used to hear this and I'm like, what kind of drama could it be? Trust me, they figure out and find drama to have. People tell on each other about stuff that goes on at the hotels. I've heard about people telling people cheating in class. I mean, it's all kinds of stuff. I've heard about if there's been drama about who decides to hang out with who decides to study with who. People form like relationships, like dating relationships, like it's just all kind of stuff. They just find stuff to have drama about. So stay out of it. Luckily, when I was in training, I wasn't involved in any drama because honestly, I didn't come there for that. This was a job for me. I quit my last job, so it was serious. I didn't go out to the club. Now, this is just me. Some people did. Some people went out, hang out. And I think if you can manage it, if you really study and you got it, it's doable. Some people did. There were girls that were going out and they passed. I just felt like it was just too much for me. I could not go out, be listening to Drake and Future and all this stuff and still be trying to remain seated. Seated and stoned in my head too. I had to be focused because that's the type of learner that I am. So But what everybody else would, I remember a girl the other day just told me, she's like, Taryn, you were never at the parties that week. You were never. No, I was not, because I was focused. This was a job for me. This was a career change for me. So I had to take it serious, because I was seeing that it was harder for me. I was struggling. So I needed to be focused. So you got to decide what works for you and do that. But I also didn't let what they were doing bother me. Hey, go have y'all fun. I'm not telling on nobody. So I just wasn't involved in any drama. But yeah, I want to make sure I reiterate that this is a job. This is a job. It's a job. People are going to be watching you. They're going to be looking to see if they can trust you to get out on the line. Your instructors, I don't even know. Sometimes I feel like the hotel staff may be in on it, but they're going to be watching you. It's a job. So make sure you carry yourself in a professional manner. You don't want to go and have too much fun and just get in trouble, and now you have to get sent home from training and all that. No. Remember, this is a job. These people bought you here with the intentions to hire you, so you want to be responsible while you are in this setting. So during training, you're going to get your in-flight experience. Some people do. I got my in-flight experience after training, and that's basically just you going on the plane and putting everything into practice that you learned during training. We call it IOE at my company. So IOE, we do our in-flight service. We learn all the procedures and stuff on the plane. We practice our pre-flights. We go through everything. You have a check flight attendant who goes over everything with you and make sure that you know what you're doing. Like I said, some companies, they do this during training, but my company, we did this after training. Also during training, you're going to get your base assignment, and a base is basically where you will work from every day. So for me, my base is Charlotte. The other bases that my company has is DC, Philly, Ohio, and I believe that's it. So those are examples of bases. Some companies have Atlanta as a base, New York is a base. It just depends on who you work for, what bases. No company has the same bases. It just depends on who you work for. And with bases, that's where that moving, being prepared to move is going to come into place. So when I got out of training, I was DC based for a month. After my month was up in DC, I was able to transfer back to Charlotte. But some companies don't allow you to transfer so quick. So you just have to be prepared. And if this is something that you want to get into, you have to be open, because you don't know where you're going to get based. The base you get is based upon what the company needs. It's not necessarily what you choose or nothing. It's based off of company need. So we've talked about things you should consider before becoming a flight attendant. We've talked about the interview process. We've talked about pay. We've talked about training, and we've talked about during training. So now I want to talk about after training. You completed your training, you're out on the line. I want to talk about some things that you should think about, or some things you should know after you completed everything. So of course, it's like starting a new job. You still got those first day jitters. You're not sure what to expect. I was nervous. I'm sure I made a whole bunch of mistakes, but again, this is your time to use your resources, those relationships that you created during training. You want to make sure you pull on them and use those resources, because you're going to need those people. You're still getting adjusted to the job. That's what after training is about. Getting adjusted, making sure you're still learning, because like I said, you're still learning. You're always learning when you first become a flight attendant, because it's just everything's new. You've never done this before. Again, if you get put into a different base and you have to move, and just in case you have to move, so there's crash pads and there's apartments. Of course, we all know what an apartment is. I have an apartment, but a lot of flight attendants don't. They don't own apartments, because we aren't really home like that. Honestly, you don't need one. And if I didn't already have an apartment, I probably would be doing crash pad life. So crash pad is where people stay that work in aviation, and it's a shared space. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes they have multiple dorms, beds, bunks in an apartment or a house. And sometimes you can rent your own room. You can rent a room from someone. Apartments are a little bit more expensive. Y'all, like I said, we don't make a whole lot of money. So you have to figure out what works for you. If you can afford an apartment, get you an apartment. If you can't, crash pads are the way to go. It's nothing wrong with a crash pad. I did a crash pad for a month. Would I do it again? I don't know. I didn't necessarily like the crash pad that I was in, but there are some better crash pads and I've seen them. So it just all depends on what you need. My company gives relocation days when you first start out, and that's for you to get adjusted at your base. That's for you to go find your crash pad or your place to stay. And I think it's like 2 or 3 days. So that's your time to go view the city, go view your crash pad, go check out what you're getting yourself into. Don't pay your money to anybody on Facebook, the internet, none of these groups before you go see what you're getting. Because people get scammed all the time. People get scammed all the time, and you don't want that to be you. Again, we don't make a whole lot of money, so you don't have time for anybody to be taking your money. Go see what you're getting yourself into. Use your relocation days. That is not for time for you to just lollygag and chill. No, take advantage of that time that the company is giving you to go see what you're getting into, where you're going to be staying. Go get acclimated with the area. So after you have gotten into your place where you're going to be staying, you've relocated, you're working, this is the time to continue getting adjusted. Create healthy habits. Like, make sure you are getting fully adjusted. When I started, I was already working out and stuff when I first started the job, but I think training just really knocked me off my rocker and I stopped working out. I stopped doing everything, y'all. So now I'm like trying to readjust myself and get back in the gym and get my healthy eating habits. No, as soon as you start, you need to be doing those things. Go to the gym, start eating healthy, prep your food, like learning how to not be spending a whole lot of money, because again, this is a job. It's not a continuous vacation. If you treat this like a continuous vacation, you're going to be broke. No, I used to pack my lunch when I went to my regular 9-to-5 job, so now I have to make myself pack lunch too. That is so important. You cannot survive this job without packing your lunch. I don't see how people do it. It's not for me. But those are some of the healthy habits that you can create. So make sure, like I said, you're getting in the gym, you're preparing your food, you're doing all that stuff. Also, go to bed early. Am I the best at doing it all the time? No. But now I'm seeing that how important it is for me to start going to bed when I have to work, because this job wears you out. You're going to be tired. Sometimes when I come home from work and I have a few days off, the first few days, most of the time, I sleep the whole day. And I have to make myself get up and do stuff. So sleep is important. You want to get your rest. You want to sleep. So that's another healthy habit that you want to make sure you put in your routine, and you're getting adjusted to being a flight attendant. Use your benefits. That's why you're here. Make sure you're using your benefits. Make sure you're traveling. Make sure you're going to see different things. Even if you can only go a state over, go. You are not here just to work. It's not even worth it. It's not even just working. Go use your benefits. Like, go. Don't be here and just work and just don't live your life. Make friends. Go have fun. Go to the carnivals. Go to the concerts. Do whatever it is that you got in this job to really do. Because I know y'all here to travel. Go travel, go have fun. Like, turn up. Like, I ain't turned up doing training, but now I'm gonna turn up. Last but not least, spend time with your family. Like, yes, you have a job, you're always gone, but that family time is really, really important, and it means a lot, and it can make a big difference. Like, make sure you get out and do stuff, but make sure you spend time with your family, because you're gonna need them too. And I think that family plays, they're your support. They play a really important part in being successful in this career and in this job. But that's all I have for you today. I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of everything that I mentioned today. And yeah, make sure you really listen and write these things down and go over this with yourself before you come over here to the dark side. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, just make sure this is really for you. If you enjoyed this video, if this video was helpful, y'all make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to turn that notification bell on so you don't miss anything that I post. And I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.